vavatu sahano bhunaktu sahaviryan karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Good. Welcome to our weekly class on Bhagavad Gita. We continue today in Chapter 2. We'll begin, as always, with some recitation. Be sure to glance at the meaning while I'm reciting, then repeat after me. We'll start with verse 34. Akirtam chapi bhutani, akirtam chapi bhutani, katayashyanti te vyayam, katayashyanti te vyayam, sambhavitasya cha kirtir, sambhavitasya cha kirtir, maranarati rachyate, maranarati rachyate, Bhayadranaruparattam, Bhayadranaruparattam, Mansyante tva maharathaha, Mansyante tva maharathaha, Tesham chatvam bahumato, Tesham chatvam bahumato, Bhutva yasyasi laghavam, Bhutva yasyasi laghavam, avachya vadanscha bahun, avachya vadanscha bahun, vadishyanti tavahitaha, vadishyanti tavahitaha, nindantastava samartyam, nindantastava samartyam, tato duhkataram nukem, tato duhkataram nukem, hato va prapsyasi swargam, hato va prapsyasi swargam, jitva va bhokshyase mahim, jitva va bhokshyase mahim, tasmaduttishta kaunteya, tasmaduttishta kaunteya, yuddhaya krita nishchayaha, yuddhaya krita nishchayaha, sukha dukkhe same kritva, sukha dukkhe same kritva, labha labhau jaya jayau, labha labhau jaya jayau, tato yuddhaya yujyasva, tato yuddhaya yujyasva, naiva papam avapsyasi, naivam papam avapsyasi, esha te bihita sankye, esha te bihita sankye, buddhir yoge tvamam shrunu, buddhir yoge tvamam shrunu, buddhya yukto yaya partha, buddhya yukto yaya partha, karma bandham prahasyasi, karma bandham prahasyasi, neha bikramana shosti, neha bikramana shosti, pratyavayo na vidyate, pratyavayo na vidyate, swalpamapyasya dharmasya, swalpamapyasya dharmasya, trayate mahato bhayata, trayate mahato bhayata, vyavasayatmika buddhir, vyavasayatmika buddhir, ekeha kuru nandana, ekeha kuru nandana, bahushakahyanantascha, bahushakahyanantascha, buddhayo vyavasayinam, buddhayo vyavasayinam. Very good. Let's return to where we left off. We finished verse 36. We'll continue with verse 37. Just to set the context here in chapter 2, way back in verse 11, Sri Krishna told Arjuna, Arjuna, you're grieving unnecessarily. You're grieving for those whom do not deserve grief. Why? He proceeded then to give three different reasons. Sri Krishna said, first of all, that when your beloved family members die on the battlefield, nothing will happen to Atma, reason one. Reason two is that the Sukshma Sharira, the reincarnating entity, will travel on after they fall on the battlefield and take another life. And reason number three, which we're discussing now, and that is that it is Arjuna's duty and responsibility to fight. It is his dharma. If he fulfills dharma, he will be praised by everyone. And if he fails to perform his dharma, he'll be heavily criticized. We just saw that topic. And Sri Krishna gives further reasons that Arjuna should stay on the battlefield and fight to fulfill his dharma. He gives another reason in the verse 37. Hato va prapsyasi swargam, hato va prapsyasi swargam, jitva va bhokshase mahim, jitva va bhokshase mahim, tasmaduttishta kaunteya, tasmaduttishta kaunteya, yuddhaya krita nishchayaha, yuddhaya krita nishchayaha. Two possibilities. Hatova, if you are killed on the battlefield, Arjuna, prapsyasi, you will gain swargam, heaven, you'll go to heaven. Because you are engaging yourself in a dharma yuddha, a righteous war. By fighting, you actually accumulate good karmas and avoid bad karmas, and as a result of which, if you happen to die on the battlefield, which he doesn't, but if he were to die on the battlefield, Arjuna would then go on to heaven after this lifetime. Jitva va, and the second possibility, first possibility is Arjuna might die on the battlefield. Second possibility, of course, is he might be victorious. Jitva va, if you are victorious, bhokshase, you will enjoy mahim, the world, referring to the kingdom. You'll enjoy the fruits of this battle, which is regaining the kingdom that was unjustly taken away from the Pandavas. So in either case, in American English, they say it's win-win. If he dies, he wins heaven. If he conquers the enemy, he wins the kingdom. Tasmat, therefore, Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, Arjuna, therefore, uttishta, get up. I think maybe about a half a dozen times in different places and maybe in different ways, Sri Krishna says these same words. Tasmat, uttishta, uttishta, Kaunteya, get up and fight. Because that's the big picture of the whole Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita, in the most simplistic way, is Sri Krishna's encouraging Arjuna to get up and fight the war. So get up, uttishta kaunteya, yudhaya krita nishchaya. Krita nishchaya means being resolved, being clear and committed, yudhaya, to fighting the war, to entering into battle. All right. Then, by the way, one more verse will then conclude this current topic. Let's see the verse and then we'll wrap this section up. Sukha dukkhe same kritva Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labha jaya jaya labha labha jaya jaya tato yuddhaya yujyasva tato yuddhaya yujyasva naivam papam avapsyasi naivam papam avapsyasi. I mentioned before, it's a win-win situation for Arjuna. Therefore, this final bit of advice from Sri Krishna is sukha dukkhe same kritva. Kritva, having made, same, the same. Having made what the same? Sukha, pleasure, and dukkha, pain, suffering. Making pleasure and suffering alike. Labha, alabha. That au ending is a dual ending. Labha and alabha. So making gain and loss. Labha, gain, and alabha, the opposite of gain, loss, making them same kritva, making them alike. Jaya, ajaya, making victory and defeat the same, treating them as the same. If it's a win-win situation, then what difference does it make? If Arjuna experiences sukha and dukkha, which are inevitable in life, if Arjuna gains the kingdom or loses the kingdom, if Arjuna is victorious or if he's not victorious, in either case, Arjuna is blessed. Blessed by either going to heaven or by regaining the kingdom. Tataha, thereafter, after treating pleasure and pain, after treating gain and loss, after treating victory and defeat, after treating them all the same, gaining the big picture, standing back to understand the overall consequences of the situation. Tataha, then, thereafter, Yudhaya, yujyasva, engage yourself, yudhaya, in this battle. Go into battle, engage yourself in this battle. Na evam, thus, na papam avapsyasi, na avapsyasi, you will not incur sin. Generally in a battle, when you kill someone, you incur papa, sin. But because this is a dharma yuddha, as we discussed before, a dharma yuddha, a righteous war, being a war in which the consequences of not fighting are worse than the consequences of fighting. So in this particular situation, by killing his enemies, Arjuna will not incur sin. In fact, it's the other way around. If he doesn't fight, he'll incur sin, as we've said, because it is his dharma, his responsibility. Okay, and that concludes this whole opening section of Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is unique in that it contains several subject matters. It's very long. Most of the 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita contain one subject, but Chapter 2 is unique in that it contains several different topics. So now we move on to the next topic. The next topic is Karma Yoga. And by the way, the topic of Karma Yoga is hinted at in this verse, Sukha dukkhe same kritva, treating pleasure and pain alike. It hints at Karma Yoga, and we'll explain that in quite a bit of detail as we go ahead. Karma Yoga is a very important practice, a much discussed practice, and a much misunderstood practice. After we go through this topic, you'll really understand very clearly what Karma Yoga truly is. So this verse concludes that the threefold encouragement to Arjuna to fight the war, he should fight, he should not grieve, and he should fight because one, nothing happens to Atma. Number two, Sukshma Sharira, subtle body, travels on at the time of death. And number three, It is Arjuna's dharma, his responsibility. Now, we begin the next topic. Oops. Yeah, the next topic, Karma Yoga. Esha te bihita sankhe, esha te bihita sankhe, buddhir yoge tvamam shanu, buddhir yoge tvamam shanu, buddhya yukto yaya partha, buddhya yukto yaya partha, karma bandham prahasyasi, karma bandham prahasyasi. Esha te abhihita. Esha, this which has been abhihita, this which has been literally established, but established in a sense of being taught to Arjuna. This which has been esha, these teachings, abhihita, which have been taught te, unto you, Arjuna, these teachings are Sankhya, with regard to Sankhya. Sankhya has several meanings. It's the title of our chapter 2, right? Sankhya Yoga is the title of chapter 2. And here in this context, Sankhya means spiritual knowledge, wisdom. It has other meanings as well, but in this limited, in this case, it means spiritual wisdom, knowledge. So he's now making the transition. So up to this point, from verse 11 up to verse 38, he has been teaching all of this with regard to Sankhya, spiritual wisdom. To imam, but you have to break those words apart. To imam, but now imam, this, listen to Shrinu, listen, imam Shrinu, listen to this topic now, which is about buddhi yoga, with regard to buddhi yoga. Now you're thinking, I thought we were going to talk about karma yoga. Well, Sri Krishna doesn't call it karma yoga right here. He calls it buddhi yoga, and buddhi yoga means what you understand as karma yoga for a very important reason. Buddhi also has many meanings, one of which is intellect, but here it means attitude. Buddhi yoga is the yoga of attitude, specifically attitude towards your karmas, attitudes towards the deeds you do, the work you do. Karma yoga is a yoga of attitude towards work. And let's make that clear. Right off the bat, we'll see a very common misunderstanding, a terrible misunderstanding of karma yoga is doing your duty. You've probably heard someone say that, oh, such and such is such a great karma yogi. They always do their duty. Well, doing your duty is absolutely not karma yoga. Doing your duty is the minimum to be a good person. Suppose someone does their duty, but they're complaining about it all day long to every single person they meet. Oh, I have to do this. Oh, I have to do that. They go on complaining. They do all their duties, but they do so with a terrible attitude, always complaining. That certainly is not karma yoga. So karma yoga is not what you do. Doing your duty is not karma yoga. Karma yoga is not what you do. Karma yoga is the attitude with which you do something. It's the attitude you have while you're engaged in various actions. And we're going to talk about that extensively, especially when we come to verse 47, the famous verse that's so often quoted, karmanyeva adhikaraste, coming soon. Here, Sri Krishna has just introduced the shift of topic, Esha te abhihita sankhye Arjuna. So this much that we've discussed is with regard to spiritual wisdom. Buddhir yoge tvamam shanu. But now, listen to these teachings about Imam Buddhihi Yoge. He makes it very clear. Imam, this, Buddhihi, this attitude. You have to translate it as attitude here. And the word Buddhi is not uncommonly used to mean Buddhi. It can mean knowledge, it can mean wisdom, it can mean intellect, it can mean decisive thinking. Several meanings are there, but here, absolutely, it means attitude. So, Shrinu, listen, Imam, to this teaching, this buddhihi, this teaching, this attitude, yoge, which is a yoga, which is a spiritual practice. So he's introducing here karma yoga in this way. And how does he do so? He one more before he goes on. Buddhya yuktaha yaya partha, O Arjuna, yuktaha, endowed with, yaya buddhya, endowed with this attitude. My translation here, I think, could be improved. So I have teachings here, it's okay. But I think attitude would be a more precise translation in this context. Endowed with this attitude, Arjuna, prahasyasi, you will be freed, karma bandham, from the bondage of karma. Very important. Prahasyasi, you will be freed from the bondage of karma. What is this bondage of karma? And what is the purpose of karma yoga? Let's see that briefly here before we continue. The bondage of karma is based on the fact that all conventional behavior, all conventional human behavior is based on a twofold principle, raga and dvesha. You've heard these terms before, I think. Raga and dvesha. Raga is an attraction. Dvesha is the opposite of attraction, revulsion. Raga means you chase after what you want. Dvesha means you run away from what you don't want. So raga, attraction to that which you think will make you happy. Dvesha is being repulsed by that which you think will make you suffer. All conventional human behavior is driven by these two factors. Think about it. This is the basic psychology of the Bhagavad Gita. And many teachers have commented on how there's a lot of very important psychological teachings in the Bhagavad Gita. And this teaching about raga and dvesha is one of those important psychological teachings in the Bhagavad Gita, to recognize that all conventional human behavior is either raga, a compulsion to get what you want, and dvesha, a compulsion to avoid what you don't want. That shapes our lives. And you may think, well, that's pretty normal. And it is. It's absolutely normal. But it's problematic. That which is normal, that which is natural, is not necessarily that which is desirable. Pardon me for pointing this out. I hear this argument, but Swamiji, that's normal. Everyone does it. It's natural. That which is normal or natural is not undesirable. It's natural for an infant not to know how to use the bathroom. That's normal. That's natural. But it's not desirable. That infant has to grow up and learn to use the bathroom. In a manner of speaking, we have to grow up so that we are not compelled by raga and dvesha. Sri Krishna uses this term karma bandham, bondage. And here's the sense of the bondage. Inside of you is this compulsion, a compulsion that makes you chase after whatever you consider to be a source of happiness. You're compelled to do that. And inner compulsion is there. And similarly, an inner compulsion to avoid anything that you think will make you suffer, that which compels you. It's like having a demanding boss inside your mind, a boss that tells you, go there, do that. A boss that tells you, don't go there, don't do that. You're being bossed around. No one likes to be bossed around like that. We all like to be free to choose what we do in life. Well, here's a case where you're being bossed around not by a superior, a supervisor in a workplace. You're being bossed around by your own mind. You're being bossed around by raga and dvesha, these inner compulsions, which, in a manner of speaking, deny you freedom. And just to give a silly example, you're sitting comfortably in a chair, like I'm sitting comfortably in a chair, and you're experiencing contentment. Then comes the thought, oh, I'd really like a cup of tea. Now, that desire for tea is an example of raga. I want tea, meaning you've made the judgment that a cup of tea is a source of happiness, or more, that gaining that cup of tea, getting that cup of tea is essential for your contentment. A moment before, you were content in your chair. Now you're no longer content. Why? You want a cup of tea, raga. And that raga is enough to drive you to get up from your comfortable chair, go to the kitchen, and make a cup of tea. Now, you could have sat in the chair very comfortably, but that boss inside was telling you, get up! Go get a cup of tea. That's an example of raga. Dvesha works exactly the same way. These are inner compulsions. And it is the compulsivity of raga and dvesha that is the problem. Let's be very clear about it. Oftentimes, raga and dvesha are simply translated as likes and dislikes. That's not a very helpful translation because it's natural to have likes and dislikes. Many years ago, somebody asked my guru, Puja Swami Tadatmananda, Swamiji, do you want tea or coffee? Swamiji was raised in South India drinking coffee. So he says, I'd like some coffee. Perhaps he said, I like some coffee. You mean he has a like? I thought he's enlightened. Enlightened people have likes and dislikes. To like one thing, to like coffee more than tea is an orientation that can certainly be present in an enlightened person. What is not there is the compulsion, the compulsivity. So if he likes coffee, if he's sitting comfortably in a chair, and the thought comes, oh, I'd like some coffee, the question is, will he be compelled to get up from that comfortable chair, go into the kitchen and make some coffee? No, that's the difference. Likes and dislikes are present for all, whether you're enlightened or not. Raga and dvesha, though, are not merely likes and dislikes. They're a compulsion to get what you want and avoid what you don't want. The purpose of karma yoga, Sri Krishna says here, prahasyasi karma bandham. You will become free from the bondage of karma, the bondage to do karma, the bondage that comes due to that inner boss telling you do this and don't do that, that inner boss, which is that compulsivity, the raga and dvesha, being compelled to chase after what you want and run away from what you don't want. It's as though you are being dragged about by raga and dvesha in our minds. That is certainly not freedom. That's an absence of inner freedom. That's a kind of bondage. Sri Krishna calls it karma bandham. So karma yoga is a way to overcome being compelled to do certain karmas, being compelled to avoid other karmas. So when we'll see how that works, we'll see that as we continue. Let's proceed. This is all introduction. Neha vikramana shosti, neha vikramana shosti, pratyavayo na vidyate, pratyavayo na vidyate, swalpamapyasya dharmasya, swalpamapyasya dharmasya, trayate mahato bhayata, trayate mahato bhayata. This verse needs some introduction. Apparently, there was some confusion about what karma yoga means. So karma yoga is a spiritual practice, the spiritual practice of doing karma. And as we've just defined, we said that karma yoga is a spiritual practice in which you adopt a particular attitude in doing whatever karmas you're doing. The confusion comes in ancient times. Karma, the word karma frequently was used to refer to Vedic rituals. You may have heard the term Vaidika karma. Vaidika karma, in the term Vaidika karma, the karma of the Vedas, and there the word karma specifically means rituals. Vaidika karma are Vedic rituals. So it's possible that in ancient times, because there was so much focus on Vedic rituals, much more so than there is today, because of that excessive focus on Vedic rituals, the term karma yoga could have been confused with doing karmas, doing Vedic karmas, doing Vedic rituals. And what Sri Krishna wants to do here, right off the bat, is to make it extremely clear that karma yoga has nothing to do with doing Vaidika karma, with doing Vedic rituals. And what he does is he compares true karma yoga, which is a yoga of attitude towards actions. He compares it to doing Vedic rituals. So with regard to Vedic rituals, he says, na iha abhikrama nashaha asti. Breaking the words apart. Na iha abhikrama nashaha asti. Iha, here. Here means with regard to karma yoga properly understood, with regard to karma yoga, na asti, there is no abhikrama nasha. There is no destruction of that which has begun. This is a rather obscure reference to a problem in the performance of Vedic rituals. And that is, you begin a ritual. The rituals he is referring to are some rituals that were very long and complicated. So you've begun a ritual, but in the performance of the ritual, there are some errors made. Maybe some mantras are dropped, some offerings are missed. Something goes wrong later in the ritual. So even though you've begun the ritual correctly, if you've made errors later in the ritual, the benefits of the ritual are destroyed. That's called abhikrama nasha. The rituals are meant to produce punya, karmic merit. Karmic merit that can bless you in this life and bless you in the next life. Karmic merit which can take you to heaven. But that karmic merit, punya, is only produced through the proper performance of a ritual. So if you begin a ritual properly and then make some mistakes, the ritual produces no punya. So there is abhikrama nasha. There is a destruction of that which has begun. And therefore your effort is wasted. But here Sri Krishna says, na iha asti. Abhikrama nasha. In karma yoga, there's no such thing. In doing Vedic rituals, if you begin properly and then make a mistake, all is lost. In karma yoga, if you begin properly and then go off base, you still are blessed to the extent that you started properly. It's not that let me try to make this clear. If you have a complicated rituals with 100 steps, and you make a mistake in the 99th step, the penultimate step, theoretically, the whole ritual could be wasted as a result of that one mistake. Sri Krishna says that is not true in Karma Yoga. In Karma Yoga, you are blessed to the extent that you adopt the proper attitude towards what you do. And we'll discuss all that much more. Pratyavayaha na vidyate, also with regard to Vedic rituals. Pratyavaya can mean a mistake in general, or it can mean it's often used in a technical sense, a sin of omission. You forget to do a particular ritual, or you forget to do a particular step in a ritual. So these are all, there are so many rules associated with these rituals, which makes it, frankly speaking, intimidating. And Sri Krishna says you don't have to worry about that with Karma Yoga. You just do your best with the right attitude. Finally, he says one more factor. The rituals, I said, some of them are extremely elaborate. They go on, some Vedic rituals go on for several days. You have to hire several priests. You have to have 2 or even 3 different ritual fires. There's a lot and so many mantras to be chanted, very elaborate. But here he says, with regard to contrast the Vedic rituals with Karma Yoga, he says here, Swalpam api asya dharmasya, of this dharma, of this practice of Karma Yoga, Swalpam api, even a little bit of this practice of Karma Yoga, trayate mahato bhayat. Trayate will help you cross over mahataha bhayat, great fear. Means that even a little bit of Karma Yoga can bless you tremendously. A little bit of a ritual, what funny logic. A small ritual gives you a small result. If you want a bigger result, you need a bigger ritual. It's like if you're pouring ghee into a ritual fire, if you want a small result, you pour a little bit of ghee into the ritual fire. If you want a bigger result, you pour more ghee into the fire. And if you want something really big, I'm being facetious, you better be ready to pour gallons and gallons and gallons of ghee into that ritual fire. Sri Krishna says Karma Yoga isn't like that at all. He says even a little bit of the performance of Karma Yoga will bless you a lot. Here's a better way of understanding. Even a small shift of attitude can create a huge change in your attitude towards what you do. And that's what in your attitude towards your actions. This is the key. Karma yoga is a small adjustment to your attitude towards what you do in life, towards your karmas. And we're going to see that attitude in some detail after we finish this introduction. He continues. Where am I here? Here. All right. Vyavasayatmika buddhir, vyavasayatmika buddhir, ekeha kuru nandana, ekeha kuru nandana, bahushakahyanantascha, bahushakahyanantascha, buddhayo vyavasayinam, buddhayo vyavasayinam. Without some introduction, this verse is it's hard to get any meaning at all. Teachings that are well ascertained are one in this matter, O Arjuna, but countless are the many branches of teachings for those who have not ascertained properly. What does that mean? It's a literal translation, but we need the context. And the context is really the goals of life and how we pursue those goals of life. This is a very fundamental topic, and let me show you on the board. When we speak of goals of life, in the Hindu tradition, you may have seen this teaching before, it's common to refer to, when we're talking about goals of life, it's common to refer to four sorry. Let me try to write clearly. Four Purusharthas. That's not, sorry. I'm writing too high. I can see. I want you to see this clearly. Four there we go. Four Purusharthas. Purusha, Artha. Here, Artha has many meanings. Here it means goal. Purusha, person. Four Purusharthas are the four goals pursued by people. This is fundamental, and we need to understand this to understand this next verse. Those four Purusharthas, you may have seen this topic before. Very important. The four Purusharthas are Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha are the four Purusharthas, the four goals of life. Just a brief definition of them, starting with Kama, pleasure. Fundamental to life. We all want pleasure. We all want to avoid pain. Kama is a goal of life. But we also want Kama, we want pleasure, not just today, but we want Kama tomorrow and for the rest of our lives, for the reason of maintaining Kama in our day-to-day lives. We're going to need Artha, and here we're going to translate it simply as wealth. Notice the purpose of Artha, the purpose of wealth, is not for its own sake. Having a lot of money in a bank account doesn't help you unless you spend it to produce Kama, pleasure. And finally, Dharma. Dharma here is the accumulation of religious merit, punya, and avoiding religious demerit, papa, so that whatever happens in your next life will have more Kama. The principle is, if you have bad karmas will prevent you from enjoying pleasure. Good karmas can help you enjoy pleasure. So therefore, dharma is, we can say dharma is the accumulation of merit. And I want you to see a progression of these three. The order is always dharma, artha, kama, moksha. But logically, there's an order that begins with kama. Kama means pleasure now, in the present moment. Artha means pleasure. Pleasure is maybe too weak a word. Contentment, happiness, peace, joy, love, whatever it is that makes you feel happy, content, and peaceful. That's what we mean here by kama. Not sensual pleasures. Not like, it includes sensual pleasures, but not limited to that. So true pleasure, happiness, contentment. We want it now. That's expressed with the word kama. We want it tomorrow and for the rest of our life. And for that reason, artha is also a goal of life. And we want it not only in the rest of this life, but we want it in the next life, whatever follows this life. And that's a way of understanding dharma, accumulation of religious merit. So notice here, you want, let me use the word contentment and peace. You want contentment and peace now. That's the pursuit of kama. You want contentment and peace for the rest of your life. Therefore, you pursue artha, wealth. You want contentment and peace in whatever follows this life. That's called dharma, the accumulation of merit. And this pretty much summarizes conventional life. Conventional life is the pursuit of pleasure, I've been saying contentment and peace. The pursuit of contentment and peace now, later, and dharma will say much later, which means after this life. This is conventional living. Conventional life, conventional thought. Of course, Vedanta and the teachings of the ancient rishis go far beyond conventional thinking. The rishis understood very clearly that the true source of the contentment and peace that you seek now, the contentment and peace that you seek for the rest of your life, the contentment and peace that you seek in later lives, the true source of that contentment and peace is already within you. It's already your true nature. Therefore, the one more Purushartha, one more goal of life is moksha, literally liberation or freedom, liberation or freedom from suffering. Don't narrowly define it as freedom from rebirth. It does mean freedom from rebirth, but it has more meaning than that. Right now, freedom from the struggle to gain contentment and peace. Notice, if you're pursuing kama, artha, and dharma, it takes a lot of effort. This is conventional life. A lot of effort to gain pleasure now, contentment and peace, let me say. A lot of effort to gain contentment and peace for the rest of your life. A lot of effort to gain contentment and peace in your later lives. You have to accumulate a lot of religious merit in order to enjoy contentment and peace in later lives. And in ancient times, doing a lot of rituals was involved. A lot of work, a lot of effort. Here's the irony of Vedanta. A lot of effort chasing after what you already possess. You've heard it said so many times that your true nature is divine. You've heard it said so many times that the true source of happiness and peace is within you. These are not just mere sayings. This is a reality to be discovered. And the irony of Vedanta and the irony of life is that we spend so much time and effort and struggle trying to gain the happiness and contentment that's already your true nature. Moksha, liberation, is you'll hear me most often use the term enlightenment. Enlightenment in the sense of gaining that discovering that true source of happiness and contentment within you. Moksha is literally liberation or freedom, but the sense of moksha is the discovery that the true source of happiness, contentment, peace, love, and joy is within you. With that discovery, you are liberated or freed from the struggle of daily life, the struggle of chasing after pleasure now, chasing after pleasure for the rest of your life, chasing after anything for your next life. All of that effort and struggle goes away. There is liberation or freedom from that struggle and difficulty. So we need to understand these 4 Purusharthas to understand this verse and the verses that follow. And here's how it works. The Vedas, the source scriptures on which the entire Hindu tradition is based, including the teachings of Vedanta, those Vedas are specifically meant to help us gain these 4 Purusharthas. Specifically, the 4 goals of life are meant to be pursued with the help of the Vedas. The Vedas have 2 parts. One part of the Veda, and this terminology is important. One part of the Veda is that on? Yeah, that's visible. One part of the Veda is called Karma Kanda. The Karma Kanda is Kanda means part or section. Karma, remember I said karma in this context means rituals. Karma Kanda is the portion of the Vedas concerned with rituals. And the Karma Kanda is actually the largest part of the Vedas. The Vedas have several parts, and most of those parts are included in this Karma Kanda. There is a smaller portion of the Veda called, is that showing up? Yeah. Called Jnana Kanda. The portion of the Veda concerned with jnana, with spiritual wisdom. You know this already, but just to make sure that we understand this, Jnana Kanda, the portion of the Vedas that is concerned with spiritual wisdom, that portion is found at the end of each of the 4 Vedas. That's why we have the term Vedanta. Veda Anta. The Anta, the last portion of the Vedas, is Vedanta. It is this Jnana Kanda, and it's the portion of the Vedas that's concerned with gaining moksha. So, the Vedas are huge, and in that huge collection of Vedic teachings, most of those teachings are involved with various rituals and prayers and meditations meant to help you gain dharma, artha, and kama. Even kama. The idea being that by doing rituals, those rituals will yield their religious merit, yield their results, and they can yield the results very quickly. So the results, the blessings you get from a ritual, some of those blessings come immediately. In fact, you know that already. You do some rituals, you feel a sense of contentment and peace. So when you do rituals, some of the benefit blessings come now. Some of the benefit and blessings from those rituals will come later in this life. Some of the blessings and benefits of those rituals will come much later means in later lives. That's what the karma kanda is involved with, the performance of rituals to help you gain kama, artha, and dharma, as distinguished from the jnana kanda, whose purpose is to help you look within yourself to find that which you seek through kama, artha, and dharma. That which you seek is already within you. And the jnana kanda, is that which helps you discover that inner divinity. And having discovered that inner divinity, you're then freed from the struggle of pursuing dharma, artha, and kama. We need to understand this verse. Now the verse will make sense. Otherwise, I'm afraid it won't make any sense at all. Okay, so returning now to our verse. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi. And here buddhi will take in a sense of knowledge, wisdom, spiritual wisdom. So this buddhi, this spiritual wisdom, which is vyavasayatmika, whose nature is vyavasaya. Vyavasaya is discernment, ascertainment. So this wisdom, this understanding, which is vyavasayatmika, which is well ascertained, eka iha kurunandana, iha, here, in this matter, in this teaching of karma yoga, it is eka, it is one, kurunandana, O beloved one of the Kuru lineage, Arjuna, it is one. Now, what do we mean by one? This karma yoga is with regard to a single direction in life. And that single direction in life is the pursuit of moksha, as opposed to the multiplicity of seeking kama, artha, and dharma. There's multiplicity and multiplicity also of all the rituals, or various rituals in pursuing dharma, artha, and kama. This is in ancient times. In ancient times, you'll perform many different rituals for the sake of dharma, artha, and kama, but the pursuit of moksha is eka. Eka iha buddhihi. There is one understanding, one truth, we can say, the truth of your own inner divinity. On the other hand, bahushakaha hi anantaha cha. He, indeed, anantaha, limitless, and countless is a better translation. Anantaha, countless, and bahushakaha, having many branches. Having many branches are the buddhayaha, the teachings avyavasayinam, for those who do not have the one direction. Vyavasaya is this clear ascertainment of the ultimate goal of life. Vyavasaya, the clear understanding that moksha is the ultimate goal of life. But for those who are avyavasaya, for those who lack that discernment, for them, let me get back to the verse. For those who lack that discernment that moksha is the ultimate goal of life, for them, buddhayaha, teachings, are bahushakaha, manifold, anantaha, countless. Those manifold, countless teachings are all the rituals that are expressed in the karma kanda The Karma Kanda contains numerous rituals which are meant to help you gain dharma, artha, kama, as opposed to the Jnana Kanda, which has one central teaching. The one central teaching of the Karma Kanda is Tattvamasi. I'm sorry, I misspoke. The one central teaching of the Jnana Kanda is Tattvam Asi. You are that. And here in this rather obscure verse, Sri Krishna is contrasting that. The one clear teaching, Tattvamasi, found in the Jnana Kanda of the Vedas, is contrasted here with the multiplicity of rituals meant to help you gain dharma, artha, kama, the multiplicity of teachings that are found in the Karma Kanda. When we continue, we'll see how Sri Krishna is actually highly, you'll be surprised, Sri Krishna is highly critical of the excessive ritualism involved with that Karma Kanda. He is quite clear in his criticism of that, and we'll see that in our next class. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhaveta Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityor ma amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat.